Nintendo loves doing remakes. And by remakes, I mean the original SNES game, Starfox. Yes, a lot of people call out Nintendo for rehashing and remaking a ton of their games, but largely this has been more of a Wii U, 3DS era trend. And while I do love a reason to go back and replay the classics, I feel like there are a bunch of games out there that deserve not only to be visited by more people, but updated so people can enjoy them more. This is Lost's top 5 games Nintendo should remake. Number 5, Mother/Earthbound Beginnings. Oh boy. Let me explain myself a bit before you Mother 3 fans get mad. Mother 3 wasn't released in America unlike the original Mother/Earthbound Beginnings. Yes, I know, a miracle. And while Mother 3 is a super charming game, it has still aged rather well. And when looking at Earthbound and Earthbound Beginnings needs a lot more help. See, Earthbound Beginnings is a product of its time, and along with that, the gripe with the whole usual NES limitations and grind that most JRPGs had at the time to sell it based on hours, it doesn't have a lot going for it nowadays. Its only real calling card back then was the more modern, quirky settings for the game, which, when we look at it now, doesn't really shine as bright as some other Earthbound-related titles. Still, Mother did have, or at least looked like it had, an interesting story behind itself, and if it wasn't for the limitations of back in the day, it may be able to bring a whole new love to the game itself, or even add more to the story. While I admire Nintendo for bringing Earthbound Beginnings to the US, this old NES game was not going to make a new Earthbound fans. It wasn't going to revive the franchise, it only gave hope that Mother 3 was coming. And while I still want a Mother 3 release, I also like to see a more updated and thought out Mother. It's also something I think the creator would approve of and give Japanese audience something to be excited about. Sure, it would be tragic if Mother 3 still hasn't come by then, but in terms of getting remakes, Mother needs a serious tune-up. Number 4, Mario Party. The first one. The current Mario Party is on a constant spiral of gimmicky wonderlands and a more than mediocre deliverance of the old school board games that for some reason they decided to change around 9 to be about go-karting for some reason. Somewhere along the line, Nintendo forgot how to throw a Mario Party. They really don't want to make Mario Parties anymore, but rather whatever gimmicky mini-games they could use to justify their gimmicky controls. It's such a shame due to the original Mario Party being so good on its own. It brought out the simple fun of board games and fun of video games all at once. It was an amazing blend of both video games and board games. It's very formulaic, yes, but the original also had unlocks to do, like single player, and just generally it worked as a game. And it was a good game that wasn't ruined by a constant barrage of gimmicky things, or stupid design choices like giant carts. Not great, not awesome, just good. And while Mario Party 2 and 3 are some of the best in the entire series, only the original has a very big problem when coming back to it. Hole hands. Holes in your hand you got when turning that beloved joystick in the middle of your hand because you had to move it really fast. There's got to be such a problem Nintendo had to literally provide for gloves when asked. So, why do I mention this? Because you can't get the game on the Virtual Console, and changing the whole hand-causing minigames to something easier on the player is more than a perfect excuse to remake this game. People loved Mario Party, despite what has happened to Mario Party, and it's not like Nintendo really has to do much aside from changing minigame inputs, add a few new boards, maybe a few more minigames or skins for them, and you're looking at a really good remake of a very hard-to-find game. Maybe even add amiibo support to give it some more purpose. And it's not like they haven't released it on Virtual Console either, because if they did, a lot more people would be asking for gloves, which Nintendo doesn't want to shell out for. Or maybe they just don't want to be reminded of the Power Glove. Number 3, Kid Icarus Uprising. Literally everyone that played this game is going to understand what I'm going for here. Kid Icarus Uprising is one of the best games on the 3DS that you will ever play that has terrible controls. What makes it so bad? Literally the inability to use dual sticks, and forcing an awkward stylus control scheme that really only works during the flying sections, and everywhere else it's a constant fight for hand cramps, 3DS placement, and camera angles. The only thing they need to do with this remake is move it to the Switch, polish up some 3D models, sprites, blow up resolution, maybe add some amiibo support for remake purposes, and boom, you're done. Like, literally everything else in this game is amazing. Characters, story, actual gameplay, the ability to fuse gems. It even has an astounding multiplayer game that is, like, heavily undersold. Yeah, that's another thing that could really help boost Switch sales and sell online to a lot of people, because the online on this game was freaking sweet. 3 vs 3 battles, maybe add in more modes like capture the flag or go-karts or something. Like, honestly, there's so much you could add to this game by simply porting the base game alone, and plenty of fans would buy it simply for better controls. It's a complete win-win, Nintendo. Why hasn't this happened yet? Number 2, Wario Land on the Virtual Boy. Boy, oh boy, it's the Virtual Boy. Let's talk about the one game that made playing it in red somewhat worth it for like 2 hours. It's really odd how even failed consoles and handhelds like the Virtual Boy still had a good game on it. Maybe even 2 good games? Yeah, at least 2 good games out of like, what, 11, 22 games tops on the Virtual Boy? So I have to ask, if Wario Land was so good on the Virtual Boy, why wasn't it made for the 3DS Classic Collection? Literally, the game just needs color to be playable, and it's not like the Virtual Boy didn't use a 3D effect similar to the 3DS. It just hurts a lot more. Maybe because the game was too short? Honestly, I don't know why, but definitely a game that's in limited quantity, and I'm sure most Wario fans would like to actually play it. Why not just make this a 3DS Wario Land game, Nintendo? Not like enough people played it that it wouldn't fool the whole world. Old assets, new audience. It's probably the only profitable thing that you'll get out of the Virtual Boy when you think about it. Honorable mentions: Eternal Darkness, Sanity's Requiem. Just need to make the game prettier. Mole Mania. A 3DS Classic version would make more people remember this game. Drill Dozer. Literally just expose more people to Drill Dozer again, okay? F-Zero. Just honestly, just pick any F-Zero, okay? Literally anybody just would want it. Fire Emblem 4 and 5, because they haven't gone stateside. Number 1. The Legend of Zelda 2, The Adventure of Link. Adventure of Link, but remade in the Breath of the Wild engine. Okay, so look, out of all the Zelda games out there, Zelda 2 is the most unbeloved out of the franchise. Sure, there are worse titles out there, but in terms of Black Sheep, Zelda 2 is King Black Sheep. That did not come out right. With the Breath of the Wild engine, however, I feel it will bring a lot to the table in terms of what would make Zelda 2 great again. Largely, Zelda 2 didn't have a heavy focus on weapons like its other series counterparts, and while having yet another Zelda game without a hookshot may seem like a blasphemous statement, my intentions are for the Zelda series to be pure. I feel like a lot of love could be brought to the game with the way Breath of the Wild's engine ran, and how its game style focused more on pairing akin to the way Zelda 2 focused on sword fighting. I also don't want Zelda 2 remade to be as big of a world as the Breath of the Wild has either. We're talking about a remake here, and while it'd be nice to climb everything, that's simply not needed in Zelda 2. See, Zelda 2's overworld was drastically empty to begin with only towns, dungeons, and enemies spawning constantly to really fill the field. Not to mention all the bridge crossing. That was weird. With this thought in mind, though, we are looking at roughly the size of Twilight Princess map with more focus on greenery and enemy fighting. So more running through enemy bases, more temples, dungeons, caves to look through, and largely a more action-based version of Breath of the Wild. Exploration was a lot of fun in Breath of the Wild, but what a lot of players tend to miss out on and what it seemed to constantly lack was a good amount of enemies to fight. Zelda 2 is a perfect complement to this by having the game largely focus on fighting baddies and using mostly magic along with your sword. The palaces are also a great way to place actual dungeons without having it ruin the exploration features of Breath of the Wild's engine. And with the story and map pooling some similar designs from both games, I really feel like this could be the chance for Zelda 2 to finally step out of the shadows and be recognized part of the franchise it deserves. Also, Dark Link as final boss. So did I do a good or a bad? You like this list or not? What would your choices be if you were making this list? This was Lost's top list of whatever, so please gently press that like button and share this video if you can. Thank you all for watching. Sayonara. Bye bye.